Do you hear all those sighs as we finish 3 days of overthinking and deliberating and connecting? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mina Al-Araibi, editor-in-chief of The National, and absolutely delighted to be leading this conversation that closes out an incredible Culture Summit, the seventh Culture Summit, and we're already looking forward to the eighth, so please invite us back. Um, there are so many takeaways from here, and we're going to have this incredible panel with us, His Excellency Mohammed Khalifa Mubarak, Chairman of the Department of Culture and Tourism. Here, of course, we have Harvey Mason Jr., Chief Executive Officer of the Recording Academy, Mariette Westerman, Director and Chief Executive Officer of Guggenheim, Tim Marlowe, who all of us know, Chief Executive and Director of the Design Museum, who's here in his speaking capacity rather than moderator capacity, and then John Prideaux, who is the US editor of The Economist. We have Nacho Florestan from Director Gen AI from Google Cloud, and of course, Ernesto Ramirez from UNESCO, Assistant Director General for Culture from UNESCO. Many great things have been said about culture here, but I think on this stage, just a short while ago, Herbie Hancock said something and said, we're one family. And you really get a sense of that. We are one family when we sit in this hall and the halls around Menarat Saadiyat. And there was a real sense of that. We spoke about polarization, disruption, change, fast speed of change. And yet that moment of saying we are one family, one human family, and also what connects us really more than anything else is culture. And so I want to start my conversation, and that's my biggest learning. So I want to start my conversation by asking you, Your Excellency, what's one big learning or has changed how you think about things that you didn't have only 3 days ago, that this Culture Summit gave you? One takeaway. I know you probably have many, but I want one.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, the last day is always bittersweet. Because, as you rightfully said, we've convened here for the last 3 days. And it's almost like in these 3 days, we forgot about everything else. And we just focused on what's important to us, our collective goals. And our collective goals is to keep culture in the heart of everything we do. And in a world that is changing so rapidly with technology and AI, I think we all spoke here and our voices all have been heard. That no matter what changes happens, the heart is always human. The soul is always human. And we should do everything in our power to make sure that that heart and soul is in everything that we do. We heard from educators, from ministers of education, we heard from ministers of culture, we heard from our peers, from institutions, from artists, technologists, and this is what makes this place special. It's a platform for voices to be heard. It's a place that's quite different than anything else. And I think when you ask me what did I learn in this trip, is to listen more than anything. And this is what makes the summit special. It allows us to take a step back and hear different perspectives, different understandings of what the future can hold for all of us with tangible solutions. And when I want to just underline tangible solutions. This is what the summit has all been about. It's not just a place of convening. Obviously, seeing all of you is always great. But more importantly is us addressing a problem that we are all facing. How are we going to safeguard culture? How are we going to safeguard opportunities for creators to create and flourish in the future? It's a big question. I don't think anybody has a clear answer as an individual. But I think collectively, we can have many answers. And this summit has been a summit of questions and answers. And what I'm going to take away from this is continuously working with all my peers, my new family, on these solutions. And these solutions are for us to share. The blueprint from Abu Dhabi is not a blueprint that remains within us. The UAE is open for all, and our solutions are going to be open for all. And that is why we convened here today. So thank you all.
Thank you. Harvey, your takeaway or learning?
My takeaway, wow, there's a lot. There's a lot to take away. First of all, how's everybody doing? Are we okay? Yes? Okay, good. I feel like we got to pick up the energy a little. This is the last panel of the event, right? Good.
We need some music.
Yeah, all those good performances.
Yes, sir.
My takeaway was, first off, that Abu Dhabi and UAE is a special place. That's a key takeaway. I say that because I feel the passion, I feel the energy, I feel the love for music, for culture, for art. And Your Excellency, you've set that tone from the very beginning, from the very top. And I've also learned, my takeaway is, if you're intentional about the work, like you all have been, setting a strategy 7 years ago, putting in the work, putting in the effort, that you can accomplish great things. And being a part of this summit and being here to collaborate and share ideas and to hear ideas makes me feel like we're doing something good. Makes me feel like we're making a difference. And I believe so strongly in the power of music. Everybody that knows me hears me talk about it. But what music can do to bring people together, what it can do to change the world, quite honestly. And I'm so proud that we're able to start a lot of that conversation here. So the takeaway for me is the collaboration, the passion, and the attention to culture and to music and to art that I'm sensing here in this room and from all these people that care, all these people that love what we do to make music and to make art. That hits me, and that resonates for me in a big way. So I have to say thank you for the hosts of the summit. Your Excellency, thank you very much. Thank you to the city of Abu Dhabi, and thank you to all of you that have been here. I've gotten a chance to learn so much and listen and absorb so much excellence that I can't wait to take that back with me.
Thank you. So, Marriott, what's your takeaway?
Thank you, Mina. Well, I plowed a humble field of art history by training in métier. And so I want to underscore what you just said, Harvey, in that I was astounded by the quality of the performances we saw and the insights that artists provide. Artists look around corners we didn't already know, so we learn from them. And I've long known that. So that's not a new learning, although it was on full display. And thank you, all the artists with us. It's been amazing to have your work drive the conversation. The biggest takeaway for me, the new learning, was one that I didn't expect, and it is in the field I know the least about: artificial intelligence. Arguably, most people in this audience, it's the thing they know the least about. But there was some real expertise on display. And in the very first day after Your Excellency spoke so inspiringly to us, Mo Gaudat, the former MENA executive for Google X, spoke to us about artificial intelligence and its future plenitude, the abundance to come. I'm scared to death of that abundance, the way most people in the arts are, in a way. And he flipped the narrative in the most interesting way. He said, the problem with AI right now is that people are trying to control it all the time in these confusing ways. You get misinformation. We're not as smart as AI by IQ measures. And then he said, so right now is really dangerous because you get all this disinformation going. We're feeding all the wrong ideas to these powerful technologies and these large data corpora. But we have a window. He pivoted. He said, we have a window of optimism, and we can now begin to feed the right values to these AI technologies. It seems a very heavy lift, but it opened my eyes to something I should think about. And to my complete amazement, 2 hours ago, on this very stage, Herbie Hancock reinforced the idea. I didn't think an artist would, but we were reminded of his early embrace of synthesizers. And he really said, so AI is going to make our daily life better in so many ways. It will know all about our bodies and what we need at any one time. And you know what? We should be teaching it ethics. And so now I think that's a big challenge for us, and it is a total change of how the discourse around AI in my own institution even, but certainly New York City, has been going. So I look forward to feeding good values that we come up with together as a global arts and knowledge community. What can we feed AI is in the next 2 years, is my question.
It's an important question. I'm going to break from asking each of you your takings and turn to, of course, our director of Gen AI from Google Cloud, Nasho, and ask you, how does that resonate with you, this idea of feeding the ethics, thinking about the principles?
Thank you, Mina. Yeah, let me start by saying that the last 3 days have been super inspirational for me. Normally, I work with digital natives, with enterprises, only talking about Gen AI, and all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by incredible musicians, poets, writers, and all of them embracing Gen AI in a very organic way, in a very natural way, right? So they know it's here to amplify, they know it's here to multiply, to make them more productive, to inspire them with ideas that before they used to take them maybe weeks to make them real. And now they can dismiss them early or embrace them quickly into something magic, right? So it's day one, right? So again, let's not forget that it's been only 2.5 years, 3 years since Gen AI has been actively embraced by the society, right? Well, for sure, Google and many other companies, we have been the last 25 years working with AI, so we definitely have been working on the ethics and the responsible AI, and Your Highness have been, Your Excellency has been mentioning that before. Definitely, it's our obsession, right? And it's definitely something that we are not negotiating upon, right? So ethics, safeguards, and of course, in the interest of humanity and culture.
And what's your learning or takeaway from here?
Well, definitely, again, seeing every single individual, every single artist from Africa, from Asia, from here, from the UAE, embracing with passion and interest and curiosity and asking for more, right? In the hallway, I've been chased many times, hey, when are you releasing the next new version of Veo? It's actually really inspiring, right? Because again, when you are endogamically talking only to guys with huge budgets, you tend to think it's not for single creators in a corner in their study, right? But of course, it is for everyone.
The importance of the individual. John, what's your big takeaway from here?
My biggest takeaway, I think, is to do with people. There are just a huge number of people at this amazing summit who are open to new experiences and learning from each other and cultural exchange. And the convening power is not the main thing, as you said, Your Excellency, but nevertheless, it's pretty remarkable. You know, I've had a lot of chance encounters with people. You sit down next to somebody at dinner who you've never met before, and they turn out to be fascinating in unexpected ways, and then you stay in touch. So that's a real thing. And I came to the first Culture Summit, and it, you know, every year seems to get bigger and better. And there is a version of the future where Nacho's machines take over and they do all the kind of drudge work that we don't want to do. You know, they do all the administration, and we get to spend more time having conversations like this and listening to Herbie Hancock. And that's the version, the techno-optimist version I want to sign up for. Like you, I'm a journalist, Mina, so my job description pretty much is to ask people annoying questions. And I've been asking lots of creators here versions of, yeah, but isn't AI going to destroy what you do and put your family out of business? And the thing that has surprised me, a bit like Marietta, has been the number of people who said, oh no, actually I don't see it like that. And even people who own intellectual property that has been used to train a lot of these models, they weren't saying, actually, we need new regulation, we need new laws, we need new codes of ethics. They're like, no, we got this. So that's changed my perspective a little bit. And then the last one, I would just say the hospitality here is amazing, as we've all experienced. The first Emirati I ever met, I was at college with, and I found hanging out with her family, there was always an extraordinary amount of food. And I thought this was specific to her family. And coming here, over the years, I've realized it's not. It's a cultural thing. And that might sound small, but it's those, you know, inviting people around the table from all over the world and being open to talk and discuss is a really, really magical thing. And it's not something that my day-to-day is American politics and people fighting with each other a lot. It's not something that I get to experience a lot, so I've appreciated it very much. So thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, sir.
It's great. Tim.
I love this family idea, but I'm not going to be the black sheep, but I'll be the mischievous son. In your discussion, which I thought was brilliant around AI, I don't buy totally that all the regulations are in place. What came out of that for me was how we implement it. So it's not that we just leave it as a free-for-all. And I sat next to Lash at lunch. He's wonderful. But we have to look at what big tech is doing and ask why, what the motivations are, and we need to keep an eye on you going forward. That's all. Just an eye on you. Because what you do gives us so much opportunity, but it isn't quite as easy as you're going to be altruistic all the way through. So that's just a little caveat. But I think the bigger takeaway is this physical coming together that we have every year on year. And although you expect you're going to have an inspiring time, there's nothing like face-to-face meeting. And one of the reasons why we don't get so much dissent here is because it's not that we don't have different opinions. It's because if you're in a room or on a panel or having dinner with someone who you don't necessarily agree with, actually being face-to-face helps you at least understand. And I think that's the kind of important takeaway, that we need to keep doing this, because in the end, the ripple effect does start to permeate globally. I mean, the politicians that His Excellency mentioned coming here, I think it's really important. Sometimes you wish they would just throw off the shackles and stop the speech making and just engage with each other. But we also know they have to represent their countries. They're there, they have to sort of promote, and they have to describe what it is they're doing. And in doing that, they share ideas. And those ideas that are shared, likewise, have the possibility then of permeating the way other countries do it. And also, it's the only way that we're going to affect change, because the cultural world has a lot of shared values, but it only is going to be efficacious, it's only going to be effective if it gets embedded into national and international political agendas. And that's one of the hopes and one of the possibilities, real possibilities, that a summit like this does.
I'm going to come back to political agendas in a moment, but I think that's really important to think about, okay, how do we make sure on national level some of this is adopted? But we'll come back to that, because Nesta, I want to come to you with your takeaway or learning from the last 3 days.
I have to start to say that I was reflecting on what you mentioned. I remember some years ago when we had the discussion in the middle of the pandemic, if we did it online, or we skipped it, or we postponed it, you remember? And that was the best decision, to postpone it and to do it face to face. In all the other, I'm going as UNESCO, all the meetings, committees, assemblies around the world, and in all those events, when we skipped one and did it online, we lost something. We lost 1 year of face to face. And it's amazing technology, whatever you want, but this contact, what you achieved with your team, with Rita, is amazing, because it allowed us to build. We've been hearing a lot on building bridges. It's more than bridges, because bridges today are destroyed in some wars. But what you have done is to have a connection. Well, technology will understand, a connection between a storytelling that is so important in all arts work, to build something that will be maintained permanent. And you mentioned family. For me, it's community. You know, we work with intangible cultural heritage, with the World Heritage, and for the last 5 years, we have been talking about communities. It's about sharing experience, transfers knowledge between generations to the young generation. And that's something that you don't find in many places, because we continue in the culture sector, I will be very frank with you, to work in clusters. So it's not evident to put musician, not only to play, but to exchange. And maybe the outcomes that I have taken on many of the debates is that we are so concentrated on how that we forgot why. And for me, all the purpose of the creation is to know why you have a need to express through the major creation and diversity that you can bring to the table. And that's what's happening here and has happened in the 7th edition. And so that you know, to bring Minister of Culture, even if you say that they are boring.
I didn't say that at all.
Maybe I said it for you. But they change the way that they're going to present in the next future when we bring all together. I can assure you, the 20 ministers that were present here, when they come back, even the formats, even the way that we are dancing around, they will bring a way, because at the end, what will be important is to put community at the center of our reflection and to interpret them, not to give them solutions, because the solution has to come of the conversation, of the dialogue. It's not because I think something that I will impose it. So we are growing every year, and I think that the community of knowledge that you are bringing to the table is amazing, not for Abu Dhabi, not for UAE, for the world.
I want to pick up on something that Tim said, and I agree with him. I don't think he said boring, but the
No, I
point
know.
is, no, but the point is to break the format. And I think one of the incredible things at the summit is that we break the format of just taking the positions. And so breaking the format, I'm going to break the format. To anybody who this is their first culture summit, do you mind standing up? If it's your first ever culture summit.
Great.
Wonderful. What a great mix. That is great. So welcome, and we're glad you made it for the
Welcome.
3 days.
New life.
And I think that's also part of the beauty, is mixing the old and the new, mixing new technologies and old technologies, and having these conversations. Right. So we've only got 11 minutes. So I'm going to jump to my next question, and you're going to have to put two together because we don't have enough time. And my next question, I'm going to start with you, Harvey, which is, by the time we meet up in the next Culture Summit, if we're all invited back, by the time we meet up in the next Culture Summit, there's going to be even greater advances, not only in technology and developments. We don't know where the world economy is going to go. There's going to be changes in governments at some place or the other. What is one policy that you would advocate for not only the ministers that will meet in Barcelona, but in general? What is one policy that you want to advocate for from a personal or industry perspective, and that could tackle a challenge that you see at the moment?
There are a lot of challenges that I see over the next year, 12 months. One thing that I know for music creators is, as much as I love Nacho, and I know he's a great guy and an honest guy, and his company does amazing work, as do the other technological leaders or people who are running AI platforms, I want to make sure that we are working together with them, because I trust you. I believe that you have good in your heart, like everybody here. But I also know that partnership is important, and you hearing from creators, and it's not personal, it's all people who are creating these platforms, working with creators to make sure they're taking into consideration people who make things and how their technology is going to be used and some of the dangers of the technology. For me, that would be a takeaway that I hope we could accomplish in the next 12 months. Some direct communication that would allow us to have a hand in how AI and other technological advancements are applied to creative people and their works.
Could we expect that to happen in the next
Absolutely,
12
thank
months?
you. Well, culture has been going through some transformation and revolutions in the past, right? So let's think of printing press in the Middle Age, right? And how did it come? Well, it multiplied the distribution, it multiplied the audience, and then radio and internet, right? It's only 20, 25 years ago that we onboarded in internet, right? So my positivity about the GenAI is definitely looking back, and of course trying to embrace the best of this, right? And as a policy change, if I may, I think of course I would like to advocate for the language coverage, right? So the way we interact with the GenAI and large language model is with our words and our voice, and again, talking natural, right? And if our language is not supported, and again, we have a long way to do, right? Because many technical reasons and blockers. So we all, of course, tech providers, but UNESCO and digital archives and national libraries, we all need to be mindful that it's only data that will make LLM better, right? So specifically for these minority languages, we all need to work with one single objective, which is democratize GenAI and make it available for everyone to be able to speak in their own language to AI.
Ernesto, is that something UNESCO can take on, given all the various languages?
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to hear from someone tech guy, so it's good. Diversity of languages, diversity of content. You have to have all vision together, even in the digital platforms. We have problem to have it in our daily life. Try to find spaces where you really can sit and not talking without hearing the other guy, but to share, to really understand what he's bringing from his identity, his culture, the way of thinking. You don't have to be in agreement with everything, but you have to respect it. And I think that right now we are in a world where we lose completely the focus on what is important. And when I hear that how we build technology that it's more human, it's putting the diversity of our identities together so that for future generation, they don't have to find their origin. They know their origin, but they are willing to learn from the neighboring. And that's what we have to build. So that's the new stack, because we're going to meet in 1 year, and we know very well that the technology will go beyond what we can imagine. So each time that we're going to propose something, it will be too late. So how we ensure that the ethical part that was mentioned here, it's brought right now, and we don't wait too late, because it will be too late. And that's it. So,
Mariette, you brought up the ethical. Can we advocate for that policy to be implemented?
We could, but I'd like to say something else about policy, if I may, since you asked about that. And I believe very much in policy as an emergent practice among people. We've all shared here very much that culture and art is what both unites and divides people, but on the whole, it can create common ground. As Ernesto said earlier, why do we do it at all? Why do we make art and culture? It's because we see something of value in it. When I think about my own organization, the museum sector, but really all our cultural institutions, especially those of a certain generation and age, we're all struggling with the question, what about the next generation, the young people, the youth, well, however you want to define that. And I think as a matter of policy, really for all of our ministers, all of our cultural leaders, all of our tech enthusiasts, everybody here, it's an urgent question to think about how we reach into youth communities and invite them in to tell us what they think of us. So really, this is something we're working on very hard at the Guggenheim. I think we need to hear from young creatives. We've seen a very number of them here. Maybe at our next Culture Summit we can have teens take this stage for a while, or have them program some of it instead of us telling them, why don't you come and tell us a little bit? Let's see who we could get to program some of this, so we hear from that next generation we always talk about.
And that's wonderful, and you have some shy people clapping in the audience because they agree with you. I also hope that by the next Culture Summit you'll host us at GAD, but we'll see.
Looking forward to it.
Inshallah.
Sooner than you think.
Inshallah. Tim.
Sadly, I have to agree with Mariette. I mean, we're trying to have disagreement. We can't do that.
No.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think the idea, the conversations that took place this afternoon about improvisation, and you think the skill set and the capacity to be able to react to what is happening with a group of people to make music is a skill set that really could permeate public life so much more effectively if people were trained to see things and behave in different ways. There's so much to learn from the arts. And it doesn't just mean that you put artists on pedestals and praise them, but then don't listen. It's how we embed creative people into the process of policy making that really matters. You know, the summit does it. The whole summit is interspersed with giving voice to and understanding more about the creative processes. So it's not what my policy takeaway is, it's how we get to that policy. And I think the idea of collaboration and also participation, consulting, it's not a democracy in a sense that you ask everyone to vote on something. It's trying to tap into people who have a kind of knowledge or understanding that is not always seen. And that empowering that into the policy making process would be game changing.
Game changing policy making. John, as a journalist, you're looking at policy making in the US but also across the world. What would be one policy you'd advocate for?
The thing that's uppermost in my mind at the moment, as you say, I come from a world of politics and public policy focused on America, and so I'm going to give a slightly political wonky answer, is trade. And I think there's an analogy with culture, right? Abu Dhabi is a historic port that has traded for centuries. And the idea, if I understand it correctly, that you have here as regards tourism is that you can take the best of the world, but keeping the essence of what makes this place special. And the result of that is better. And there's an analogy with trade, which makes countries richer, but there's always a temptation, I think both in economic policy and in culture, to say, well, this thing we have here is special and we want to seal it off from the rest of the world. That temptation is a temptation in culture as well, right? If we expose our culture to the outside world, it'll get polluted and changed. So the organization, the media company I work for, The Economist, was founded in 1843 to advocate for free trade at a time when it was unpopular. It's unpopular again. And so that's what I'm going to be focused on in my world. But I do think there's a real analogy here with culture. You can either be on the side that says, you know, openness to exchange and to new things is worth the benefit, even if we may lose something,
Right.
because it brings change. Or you can be on the side that says, we want to conserve and not change. And I'm in the first camp.
That's a great analogy and focuses minds really on what the future holds, but also being open to change, which we're seeing across not only technology, but cultures, movement of people, but also saying we can preserve what makes us, be it Emirati or any other culture or identity we hold dear. So I turn back to you, Your Excellency, to tell us what is one policy that you will advocate for before we are convened here again, and final words from you.
Thank you. Taking into account what my good friend Ernesto was saying, why? Why are we here? We're all here for the same reason. We're all here to safeguard something that is so precious and dear to us. Culture. Whether it's music, performing arts, dance, visual arts, fashion, design, and the list goes on. It's dear to us. It makes us human beings. It gives us a tool to connect with each other. It gives us a tool to understand each other more. And in that, it safeguards our own humanity. So it's precious to us. So that's why we're here. Now the answers we've heard today is no matter what happens with technology and the rapid speed that it's moving towards, that component of culture is going to be safeguarded. And we are all going to do everything in our power to make sure that happens. And we all understand that technology is here to stay. So of course we need to use it. We need to harness its energy, harness its power to amplify culture. Not to replicate, not to replace, to amplify. Because why are we amplifying culture? Because of our youth, our children, and our children's children. That's why we are here. We truly believe a cultural world is a better world for our future. So, if there's a policy that I can think of right now, is how do we make sure that culture is in the agenda of the educational policies of everywhere else in the world? It has to be a priority. Culture and arts education has to be a priority across every single platform. Because if we can make sure that is embedded in the DNA of every single child, then we've done our job. They will find solutions for us. And they will safeguard culture for us. So that's the policy basically I hope we can focus on. Thank
That is
you.
a great note to end on.
But no, there's one thing I have to end on. So, following your suit. So, if you allow me, please.
You're allowed.
I'm going to name a couple of names. If you can stand up, it would be great. Rita, Reem, Ali.
Hey, Rita!
Where's Ali? Where's Ali? Ali, Noura, Medea, Inas, Kinda. Even if you're in the back, we'll wait. And of course, the supporting team, Rashid, Shireen, get up.
Yellow.
Ihab, Nadia, Asma, and Firas.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for making this happen. And the second shout out, can everybody stand up? So all of us heard fantastic music over the last couple of days. I just want to leave you with this. The songwriters felt heartbreak when they wrote a song about heartbreak. They felt love when they wrote a song about love. And they felt a level of happiness when the wrote a song about happiness. And the same thing with sadness. That's never going to be replaced. You will never be replaced. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
you
so
very much.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Can we hug here?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, always great. 7 years.
Wonderful, Mohammed. Thank you.